All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Classical Vibes Only. Thank you guys for those who have been waiting for this stream. I got like 7 people here
Mm.
already. I got my guy here and the stream. Dave talks Barca. Dave talks Madrid. Oh my goodness, Dave, why is it always this kid, man? Why is it? Should I burn it right now on stream?
Well, do you lose with that kit?
Yeah. This is the Chelsea game. We lost the Chelsea game with this freaking kid. Now we lost
Yeah,
this game again with this kid. I think the other game that we lost was
maybe.
also this kid, bro. Like, I don't know what it is about this kid, man. We should have just came out with the damn orange ones, man. I'm so sick of it, bro. But Dave, let's get into it,
Yeah.
man. This is so horrible for me, horrible for all Barca fans. This game left a lot of questions, man. When you lose like this, man, it's so bad. It's so to me, it's the not competing, right? That's kind of what for me, what I feel so down on this
Stood
loss.
out.
But we made this team look, Dave, like they're the second coming of 2015 Barca. Like they're ready to win the
Mm.
Champions League. We made them look like we are ready. They are ready to win the Champions League. And guess what? They are not. They are not going to win the Champions League. They are not going to win La Liga. And yet we made this team look like so good, so great. Give them credit. I'll give them credit. That's fine. But this was more bad on how bad what Barca was playing throughout the whole game. We haven't lost to Atletico Madrid by 4 goal margin since 1989, Dave. I was 3 years old, and that's not for me to say how old I am, but I was 3 years old when we lost to Atletico Madrid 4-0, let alone in 30 minutes, bro. What the hell,
Yeah,
man? What
crazy.
happened, bro?
Absolutely. And I look at the game and look, there's so many things to discuss here. There is the lack of adjusting in the squad when Atletico Madrid were in the position they're in. When Atletico Madrid are ahead and they have that ruthless aggression type scenario where they're just going absolutely high intensity. They're playing excellent football. I saw your video and you praise them for playing amazing, scintillating football. They did.
Yeah.
And I made a video before the game.
Always the open man, Dave. They always found the open man in every play, every goal, open man every time. No hero ball.
Yeah, I mentioned before the game that if Barca wins, football won. Still, football won. They played a blinding game. Football won on the game today. I've got to be honest. And when you look at Barcelona and how they set up as a team and what they were doing in the defense, in the midfield, in the attack, they looked lost. I've got to be honest. And I mentioned it very, very critically in my match reaction. When Yamal had the ball and you're expecting Yamal to do something, when you have Ruggieri around you in that area, you have Koke pressing you, you have the other centre back pressing you, you have Lookman pressing you. They literally surrounding Yamal. Imagine a mic surrounding Yamal. He could not move. So Yamal trying to do what he did, trying to dribble past players on his ones, is not going to work. You have to include a team. And this is the biggest thing, I think, for Barcelona. When Rafinha's not present in these big games, there's a lack of intensity from the team. I've got to be honest. Rafinha is calling for players to press, to mark, to run after the ball, to initiate something that's going to get them on the attacking end as well. And they didn't have that. They had no one in the team to do that. Pedri wasn't there. Rafinha wasn't there. The injuries, I'm not making an excuse for the injuries, but what I can say is that because they're not there, it looks like there is 2-3 pieces missing in the team. And Hansi Flick did not adjust. He set up the team, with Casado
and
Frankie in that area, and they were getting outplayed by Koke and Llorente in the middle of the pitch.
They had such a great game, Dave.
Koke had Llorente looked like the second coming of Jesus Christ. This man looked like prime Valverde when Valverde's running and chasing up and just going mad. Yeah, this is what Llorente was looking like. He was on a different mission, same as Koke. Koke came off and he got pretty much a standing ovation from the Atletico Madrid fans because they put something that Barcelona didn't.
Beautiful pass to Lookman from Koke, bro.
I know, exactly. It was just literally just one touch. And I'm going to say right now, Barcelona had something. No, Atletico Madrid, had something that Barcelona didn't have. Pride in the game, Yeah. And sometimes you need that. When you need in those matches and you need to come out with the goods at some point, Barcelona, they looked lost. They looked demotivated. They didn't play to how they should play at their normal standards. They were slow with their passing. They were getting pressed.
They were slipping every play.
Atletico Madrid, one thing I've got to mention before I let you speak again, just to know. When you look at the defensive box of Atletico Madrid, and I love to paint this picture, Atletico Madrid weren't sitting inside the defensive box. They were pinned just outside it. Because they know that's where Barcelona are dangerous to the ball. So when they're in that line and that block there, where Yamal is trying to break through, and you have on the outside Olmo trying to break through, and you have obviously the attackers, whether it's Lewandowski or whatever, trying to break through, then you have an issue because you cannot break through that line in the first place. So how are you going to fizz it out to the wings and trying to fizz balls into the box? It doesn't work. So you need to do something extraordinary to break that down. Atletico Madrid were defensively amazing. They were in the midfield amazing. The wingers were absolutely sensational. And then you have Julian Alvarez and Antoine Griezmann in positions where they can operate. Griezmann on the right-hand side, cutting on his left. Alvarez on the other side, doing exactly the same, but on his right. This is where you lacked. That ball that Lookman fizzed back across outside, that allowed that goal to be shot in. Unbelievable. They needed, this is truthfully, this is truthfully, they needed 3-4 passes to break down Barcelona. Every single time. From the defense, those vertical balls that Atletico Madrid were fizzing to Lookman from diagonal angles and the opposite way to Simeone was killing Barcelona because Koundé and Balde, they didn't realize it until it was too late. They were getting beaten all the time. They were getting completely pinned out of the game. They couldn't even do anything, Barcelona. Atletico Madrid, Simeone, I got to give him credit, honestly. This guy, I don't like Atletico Madrid. But sometimes, bro, you just need to go, boom, hats off. Praise them because they performed a game. That is the best game of football from any singular team that I've seen this season in terms of the opposition and what it means to them. It's the best game of football. I've got to be honest. They played an absolute blinder, and all you can do is just praise them.
Look, what I do want to say is Cholo Simeone wiped the floor with Hansi Flick in this game.
Absolutely.
And it reminds me of the game you guys played, the 5-2 that you lost to Atletico Madrid.
Exactly the same system. Exactly the same.
Yeah, and in that game, he wiped the floor with Xavi Alonso, man. Just tactic-wise, he just wiped the floor with Xavi Alonso. Dude, I love Flick. And I will ride with Flick until the wheels fall off. Like I already made this. I already
brought
made
success
this
back to Barcelona. That's what
I am. I am going to ride with him until the wheels fall off. Literally, whenever he doesn't want to be coach anymore, then that's fine. But I will be there until the last day. I've always said this, but that doesn't stop me from seeing what I'm looking on the pitch. And from the start of my watch along, Dave, I looked. That Ademola Lookman, I was like, is it going to be Lookman? Is it going to be a Lookman with Julian Alvarez? Is it going to be Julian Alvarez Sorloth? Is Lookman coming off the bench? And he nailed it. It's like, why not just bring both? Why not just bring Griezmann, who has been hot the last couple of games? Why not just have Julian Alvarez as my two strikers? And why not still have Lookman as a midfielder? Because the Cardoso was out and Barrios was out. So that kind of left him in a pickle. He had to put Llorente in the midfield and instead of the right back position. And he brought in Llorente, he brought in Simeone as a midfielder on the right, and Ademola Lookman, which, by the way, parentheses, I bang my table for this guy at Barcelona instead of Rashford, by the way. So just let it be known, Barca fans. I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing with Ademola Lookman. He's a worker. This guy, man, he brings the intensity every single game. But I'm not surprised with what he's doing. He was able to just a master performance. And I said it on my watch along. They are going to try to crush the high line. And they're going to do it with Simeone, and they're going to do it with Ademola Lookman. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. So I'm looking at Hansi Flick in this game, and I'm like, not only you got the lineup wrong because you brought in Casado, which, by the way, I was up in arms. And people have been calling me, like in the chat, people are saying, I got to give Casado credit. I have an agenda against Casado. Maybe I do. Maybe I do have an agenda against Casado, but I just knew, like,
you got destroyed
the minute I saw Llorente. And that's the thing, like, you know the lineup, like, at least 45 minutes before the game. Hansi Flick saw they were lining up with Koke and Llorente, and he still came out with Frankie de Jong and Casado. And my biggest question was, Llorente up against Casado is a mismatch. 100% mismatch. Dani Olmo was non-existent either. And you know what? My whole thing was, how come Hansi Flick didn't see that was going to be a mismatch? How come Bernal didn't see the pitch in the second half? We brought on Lewandowski. He got the lineup wrong to start the game, and he got the lineup wrong during the game. And that's kind of the difference in the game, in my opinion. I've never seen Atletico Madrid play this good. So if I've never seen Atletico Madrid play this good through 45 minutes, these are the best 45 minutes probably in the entire Simeone's career. I've never seen a Simeone team do this to any team, let alone Barca, who had been like hitting in all cylinders. And in my opinion, I'm looking at Hansi Flick and saying, okay, how come we can't be more pragmatic? How come we can't make in-game adjustments? And we not only, okay, so you went out with extremely high line, and you didn't have the guys to counter press. And that's my biggest issue with Barca in this game. Not only because they didn't compete, but we got dismantled. And you know how we got dismantled, Dave? Because we couldn't press. We weren't pressing enough, not enough intensity. So the high line, they were making a mockery out of the high line because we weren't pressing enough. They had oceans of space. I'm looking at this kid who has a channel just for tactical, right? Just tactical stuff. And he was showing like images where, Molina had oceans of space to attack the high line. Why are we letting? Why isn't Dani Olmo pressing up Molina on the right side? Why is this oceans of space where Olmo could have pressed? We could have had even Frankie or Casado to press there. Instead, we were just high up the pitch and no pressing, no intensity. Then, of course, right, with two passes, they were just going to run over you. And at the end of the day, I wish Hansi Flick would have said, you know what? Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back a couple meters, just because, not because the high line itself, it's a problem. Okay. I don't think the high line itself is the biggest problem. I think not having the intensity and not pressing up the pitch, up the field, I think that is the biggest issue. The whole front forward, Dave, no pressing. That was the biggest difference in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does stem from the present, because that's what I kept on mentioning about Rafinha, is that Rafinha needs to initiate that himself, really. There's no player in there that really does it like him. And you're talking about Molina. If Rafinha's there, that's a different ballgame altogether. Rafinha's running him down like a crazed lunatic. And that's the difference in players. And that's why sometimes that when you look at these kind of games, like you said, you have to be a bit more pragmatic. Mm-hmm. You go a goal down, 2 goals down now, and you're saying, Atletico Madrid are doing something that is quite literally destroying our team in the defense. So what you need to do is from the touchline, scream to the players, drop the line, drop backwards, because you're not going to work like that. Trust me. And
we did it against Newcastle, Dave. We did it against Newcastle.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, and look, I've got to say, right, if you don't do that, then you're going to have an issue. You're going to have a major issue. So the midfield needs to drop. And I've got to say, somebody mentioned in the chat, and I mentioned it to the Barca guys earlier in the Barca Quad Pod, I said, you don't have a dedicated defensive midfielder who's going to sit and screen that back four. Or if the defense tries to push up, then the defensive midfielder will clock it and say, okay, I'll join the defense in this type of area, because the goal, that Alvarez scored, the goal that Alvarez scored was absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
Absolutely sensational.
Pass.
Yep, exactly. And when you had that, and it was the last goal, it was the 4-0. Yeah, it was the clutch moment in the halftime whistle. If that's a defensive midfielder, he's stopping that. Yeah, I got to say, I mentioned to the guys earlier, would have Bernal made a difference in this match? Maybe
100% in the second
because Bernal, I've got to say it right now. In the first, if Bernal was set up, and you mentioned obviously the lineups, obviously they do see the lineups literally at the same time. They can't make really adjustments. Sometimes you can make adjustments based on injuries and if you don't players not fit. But look, Hansi Flick could have said, no, I'm not allowing Casado to be run out here, because even in the very first whistle, you saw that the intensity that Atletico Madrid showed. He should have said, no, Casado out, Bernal in. Yeah. Now Bernal is the natural screen and protector towards the defense, and he's got that physicality because he's tall, he's physical. He's not that slight figure like Casado that's going to get bullied off the ball by Koke and Llorente. You're going to have somebody that can slow the play down, and when Atletico Madrid try and press, you can have somebody that can pass and maneuver the ball, have the vision to spot players in good areas. Casado couldn't do that, yeah, and that's the thing. It was a bad, and as Tino says in the thing, I think honestly the lineup shouldn't have been that. Yeah, they had obviously a lazy attitude towards chasing after the ball. Yeah, like you said, in terms of the press and the attitude towards that, the actual tactical awareness when you're going down 2-0. Sometimes that's why I like sometimes Premier League managers. They're like, okay, we need to do damage limitation here and then just try and seal off some kind of victory. Yeah, because they know, like, there's so many managers that are like Sean Dyche is a perfect example. He would say, damage limitation, I don't want to take any more goals away. I'm just going to try and do it. If it's a 2-leg, you're going to see Jose Mourinho's perfect example. Yeah. Jose Mourinho would rather take the 2-0 loss, and he knows the game is going pots up, yeah? He would take the 2-0 loss.
Stop the bleeding. Yeah? Stop the bleeding.
Exactly, and try and salvage something at home, yeah? He'll say, no, we'll try and maybe get a goal by some magical formula in this match, and hopefully for the best, yeah?
Yeah.
Not go absolute gung-ho and try and get a goal back and try and even push the team up higher when you're getting destroyed and Atletico Madrid have the momentum. No. You stop it at 2-0, you wait till the halftime whistle, and then you go the second half and try. Because the second half, Barcelona were better. They were controlling the ball better. Atletico Madrid sat deeper, I understand, but they controlled the ball better. Atletico Madrid couldn't press them as well. Yeah, the intensity was all shown in the first half, but you need someone in that team, either a manager or a player on that team to say, no, wait a minute, something's gone completely wrong here. Yeah? For Hansi Flick not to realize this, yeah, and apparently there's quotes saying that Hansi Flick said in the dressing room that they should have been 7-0 up. That's a quote that's flying around, yeah, potential quote. I don't know if it's right or not. Yeah, like what are you doing, Hansi Flick? I know you're Dino Shield attacking football. I hear it. I like attacking football. I like seeing it, but not at the expense of your team losing that many goals to go in a second. If you carry a 2-0 deficit, you'll beat them in the Camp Nou.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this right now. You beat them in the Camp Nou. 2-0 deficit, you beat them.
Even a 4-2.
I'm not sure. Even a 4-2, yeah.
See, for me, it was the fact that we kept playing this bad in every first half day. We did it against Slavia Prague. We did it against Copenhagen. We did it against Elche. We obviously did it against Real Sociedad, which is the game we lost. And not in every aspect of it, but in the clinical aspect of it. But in this game in particular, we couldn't even create, man. Like, we couldn't even win our duels up front. We really just shell-shocked about how much intensity. And I've said it on my preview, Dave. I've said this. This is their final. This is it. This is all they got. Yeah, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Win the Champions League? They're not going to win the Champions League. What are they going to do? Win La Liga? They just lost to Betis. Now they're 13 or 14 points away from us right now in La Liga. They're not going to win La Liga. This is it. This is it. And for my players, Dave, to come out with so flat in this game, no intensity whatsoever, entitled, we're just going to roll out of bed and beat these guys. These guys are coming at you with 150% intensity. Everybody, we made Molina look. Molina has been up and down this season. We made it look like the second coming of Dani Alves. That's how bad it was. Balde was up high, way too high in every play. 2 goals were solely on the right side, and he wasn't even on the picture.
I saw your watch along. You were like, "Where's my left back?" I saw your watch along. I was like, exactly. "Where's my left back? Where's my left back?"
And that was before they scored, Dave. That I said that before they scored, because I'm like, I don't see Balde anywhere. Where is he? Like, I'm like, how can Simeone come on the right side all by himself? And I'm like, where is my right back? And just like, I can't believe that how bad we were. And I can go on and on about the players. I can go on and on. But at the same time, it's like, bro, you are going to eventually, it seems to me that we met a team that was ready to play, a team that said, you know what? This is all we got. We have to show the fans something. They spent a lot of money on this roster, Dave. They have a lot of 40 million euro players. And you know what? They to their credit, they played unbelievable football, and they were ready to show up, and they're ready to play in this game. Barcelona was far from being ready to play. Like, let alone, we lost 4-0 to them. It was 4-0 in the 45th minute, and it should have been 6 or 7. It should have been 6 or 7, because Griezmann missed a chance that if he would have shot low, man, I don't know how Joan Garcia would have stopped it. Even Julian Alvarez had another chance where he could have done so much better as well. Yeah. And Koundé stopped another one on the line, which, to my surprise, it wasn't even on the line. It was just the fact that Julian Alvarez shot it off target. That's why he was able to, Koundé was able to block the shot, because it was off target. If that would have gone target, like on target, like Koundé would never in a million years get to that ball. So I was like giving credit to Koundé, but then I saw the replay and I'm like, no, that was going wide. That's why he blocked the shot. That was more bad Julian than it was Koundé being in the right spot, blocking that shot. Dude, this could have been 7 goals easily, man. Easily.
Man. Easy. That chance that that Soloff had at the end as well, man. That was on a plate. Unbelievable. Like, I look.
That should have been the 5-0 in the second half. Yes, the sort of one. How did he miss that?
That was mad. It's right in front of the goal. And I look, I'm going to say something that may obviously Barcelona fans may look 2 ways. That Jean Garcia mistake killed any type of rhythm or any type of feeling that Barcelona would have going to that game. It literally made Barcelona's heads drop instantly. And last year, remember when they went 2-0 down and Barcelona found a way to come back into that match? It's not the same. And that's what I kept on saying, is that their heads went down.
Yeah,
it wasn't a
weak mentality,
uncharacteristic.
Weak mentality.
It's
you
completely
make a mistake.
weak.
There's too much time to play. There's too much game to play. We can't lose the tie in the first quarter of the game. We cannot be 4-0 down. You got to lift your head up, man, and keep fighting. That's what made us special. And that's what Hansi Flick, to his credit, that's why he was thinking like, oh, my team was going to come back and do that. No, you don't have Rafinha. You don't have arguably your best midfielder and your best counter-pressing player, which is Rafinha. You don't have neither of them. And he still thought that we can just go out and do this highline kamikaze stuff. And the commentator was saying, like, bro, like Simeone and Atletico Madrid were making a mockery of this high line. At one point, the high line was setting up like past the halfway point, Dave. How can you set up the high line past the halfway point? It's not going to be offsides. It's not going to be offsides.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I understand. Obviously, Hansi Flick's motives is to compress the space when Atletico Madrid are trying to work it out, but they didn't pass the ball around like you're a possession-based team. They just literally were vertical. They went long, and they just found Lookman and Simeone all the time. They weren't even phased about Barcelona's press. Barcelona were not cohesive in the press. Look, throughout the season and throughout the time that Barcelona have been playing good, I've said they looked as a team. They looked cohesive. Yesterday was one of the first times I've seen this season that Barcelona looked like individuals. It's
horrible.
individuals. They were just individuals out there. They were not, they were just trying to look, they were just trying to do, they were looking out to Yamal consistently, trying to pass in the ball, passing the ball, passing the ball.
Nobody was taking risk. Nobody was taking any risk.
He's going to clock that. He's not going to allow Yamal to have the ball for 10 million years on the ball and allow Yamal to run. Ruggeri had Yamal in his pocket for the majority of the game.
I didn't think Ruggeri was I thought Ruggeri going into the game, I thought it was going to be a mismatch the whole game.
Him and Hanko, they closed Yamal's space so much that Yamal made a couple of passes behind the defensive line, but that's about it. There was nothing. Firmino had that shot.
He was coming up too deep to get the ball, Dave. He was too isolated. Like there was no cohesion, no give and goes, no nothing. And Hansi Flick just let it be, bro. Just let it be. We wasted so much. Now, before you go, I want to talk about referees because I as Barca fans, I know sometimes we can be a little bit overreactive. So I want to get your thoughts because I felt like the whistle was ridiculous. I feel like, for example, right? I agree with Flick in a sense of Simeone made a bad play on Balde at the start of the game in the first minute, and I thought that I even said on my watch along, how is that not a yellow card? I don't care if it's the first minute of the game. That's a bad tackle. That's a boneheaded tackle. You don't just do that. And the referee allowed it to be that way. So this game was going to be physical. If the game was going to be allowed to be physical, it was always going to play in the hands of Atletico Madrid. They are by far the more physical team out of these two teams. So I knew that was going in, but then I saw Simeone to start the second half. That should have been a red card. That's a textbook red card. VAR decides not to step in, and that should have been that. He got a yellow on that. That should have been his second yellow. Let alone it should have been a red card. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, and then we get into the goal. I thought it was as shambolic and as disgraceful as I'll ever say anything. 7 to 8 minutes to review this ridiculous play, bro. And it's not plain and obvious that it was offside. It was obviously they were just trying to make sure that it was offside or not. But at the same time, this is why I love the NFL, because the NFL they always go by the ruling on the field. Okay, so if it's ruled a touchdown, because the catch could have been a catch, it may not have been a catch, but if it was ruled a touchdown, when you go review it at the review spot, right, when they saw the monitor, it has to be without a shadow of a doubt that that's not a catch to overturn the call on the pitch. So they always, like, if there's a doubt, they always go with what the referee said on the pitch. The referee on the pitch said it was a goal. Okay, why are they spending 8 minutes to make sure that this is offside or onside? If the review is not showing substantial evidence that this is offside, the call should just stand at like the 2-minute mark, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts on this play? Honestly, think this was great. This is disgraceful.
Okay, so I'm going to say it truthfully, yeah, and I think that people are looking too much into the refs. Look, yes, the calls, some of them were bad or whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, what matters is what happens on the pitch. I know that the momentum. Look, one thing I can say about the VAR decision: if you really are a goal, do it quickly because it kills the momentum of the game. Because Barcelona won the ascendancy, and then it kills the momentum of the game. So you can't take 7-8 minutes to rule out a goal. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, just do it in like 2 minutes. Say what's offside, but do it in 2 minutes.
I was looking at it. I was like, I didn't see an offside, but obviously the VR seeing the second shin kid off, and then obviously Kubasi, the goal, whatever. Like, whatever the ref's decision is, sometimes that gets too much into the players' heads. They should just take it on themselves to just carry on the match and just carry on. Sometimes when you're in that position and you're 4-0 down, I understand the heat of the situation. I understand how these marginal offsides can take effect and so forth. But let's be honest, Barcelona were outplayed. Yeah. I cannot look into the referees when the main issue that was wrong was that Barcelona were completely dominated from start to finish. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day with the referees. Like, I look at Madrid fans sometimes and they try to blame refs and I said, bro, we were outplayed. It doesn't really matter about the refs. Refs this, refs that. Like, I understand the motive behind it. I understand Hansi Flick calling out the refs. I understand this because you're trying to defend the players in somewhat fashion, maybe not to throw all the heat on them. But Barcelona were going to lose, I know. And yes, maybe one goal would have made a difference. I know it could have made a difference in the second leg or so forth. But look, refs or not, Barcelona, they were completely dominated. And refs cannot be looked at. The main culprit, that they cannot be deflection. That's one thing. And I've always said this about Madrid's games as well.
Absolutely.
I've always said in Madrid's games, that look, the Spanish refereeing committee, the RFEF, the Federación de España, they are the worst refereeing committee in the world. They have the worst decision making in world football. I do not, I cannot obviously agree with that more. But we're discussing a game where Barcelona got annihilated. The deflection cannot be there. I know Barcelona fans want to, but there cannot be deflection. No. I'm sorry, it cannot be deflection. It should have been more goals. There cannot be deflection. Maybe it would have led to one goal. It maybe would have salvaged something. But at the end of it, the performance wasn't there. And the deflection to refs cannot be mentioned when the main culprit is Hansi Flick. And he set up everything wrong for that game.
Yeah, no, 100%. My only problem with these calls was, one, if Simeone gets sent off in the 50th minute, that gives us an advantage to play 45 minutes with basically, essentially, 10 on 11. And after that, we scored in the 60th minute. That gets disallowed by the weirdest way possible. I actually thought it was a goal. I thought they got extremely lucky on that call. Atletico Madrid got very lucky as well.
But it bounced off it bounced off Lewandowski, and then Kabasi was.
Yeah, but the ball's
when
coming
they drew
off,
the lines, it looks like Lewandowski was already, like, he was in front of Kabasi. So I still don't understand the call. I don't understand the call. Plus, I maybe understand why it was given off, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Fermin takes the shot, and it hits an Atletico player, and it gets deflected by the Atletico player. So an argument could be made that Lewandowski was offside when the Atletico player tried to block the shot. But that was coming off a defender, so Lewandowski can't be offside at that point. But when the ball touches the back heel of Lewandowski, I guess they said Kubarsi was offside, which is egregious to say the least. And it just didn't have enough evidence, in my opinion. But my whole point with this whole thing is, okay, let's say that Simeone gets sent off in the 50th minute. We scored in the 60th minute. That's 4-1. Momentum going our way, shifting our way. At that point, Barcelona could have made something happen. Atletico Madrid will start doubting themselves. They just had a player sent off.
It happened last year.
That's exactly what you want to come out of the second half, is to get a response. And I feel like Barcelona did that. And at that point, when that goal got disallowed, it took all the momentum. It brought down that was the game was so
it was deflating. It was deflating. This look, if you want to rule out the goal, one thing I don't agree with is 8 minutes for a call.
Yeah,
you are taking the absolute piss. I was sitting there, I was cooking, I was watching the match, and I'm like, my food's going to be done before this VAR call is actually given, I'm cooking away, man. I'm cooking risotto, mate, doing the usual Dave Books cooking, And I'm like, hey, risotto here, and this call is still not being given. I can cook a risotto in less time. But look, I'm going to be honest, if you're not going to give the goal, give it quickly, because then it ruins Barcelona's momentum. They were just sitting there, and the Barcelona players now need to warm up. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
They were warming up. They were doing training drills on the pitch because footballers need to be warm. I've played semi-professional football before. You need to be warm to be consistently active on the pitch. You cannot be going in cold. That's why they do training before. That's why they do jogging. That's why you make runs around the pitch. That's why you have to be like that. Otherwise, you're going cold.
I feel like we got this mental in this game. We had one shot on goal in the second half. Would you believe? One shot on goal on a game we're losing 4-0. If that's not getting this mental, I don't know what is. There was no pride. There was no effort. It was just empty and flat, and just the life had been sucked out of this team, bro. Like I just kind of felt like this team didn't want to come out and play in the second half. Like they quit, bro. Like they literally
They did
just
quit. They did.
flat out quit in this game, because the only one, and my only problem, Dave, is with the whole Lamine Yamal criticism is that if you take a look at it, right, in this game, when Simeone was doing a lot on the right side, Ademola Lookman was having a masterclass on the left side. Who is Lamine Yamal have to partner with? Himself? Dani Olmo wasn't doing anything. I guess Fermin Lopez was trying to take shots. He had one shot where he actually was a bad finish. He had Lewandowski with a sitter. He should have hit Lewandowski. That's an easy goal. And he decides to take the shot. It gets saved by Muzo, whatever. Muzo had a very good game as well. And I'm like, okay, who is the playmaker here? Who is the difference maker? There's no difference maker. The only one people wanted is 18-year-old Lamine Yamal, the youngest player, which albeit being what a lot of people call best player in the world, right? Which is, to those who a lot is given, a lot has been asked to them as well. But I want to see this team have different playmakers, not just one player isolated on the right. And he was still going past one or two players at times, but it was trying to make some crosses, some give and goes. He was the only one trying to be active in the whole game. And I'm not going to bash Lamine Yamal for losing a lot of turning the ball over a lot of times in this game, because he was the only one taking risk. Nobody else is taking risk, almost not taking any risk. Fermin is taking some risks, is just taking shots, but everybody else, everybody's just expecting somebody else to do it, just expecting Lamine Yamal to just float the lamp, and the genie will come out and he'll just do a genius move and somehow make something happen like he did against Inter Milan, right? So we can't always expect that. And I like what you said about, of course, Simeone, he's too smart. He's not going to let you have Lamine Yamal a master performance, especially when the other players. And guess what? You neutralize Lamine Yamal, he's already making us play left-handed, because our strength is Lamine. So I guess Simeone was like, can Dani Olmo beat me? Can Fermin Lopez beat me? I'm gonna let Ferran Torres beat me. Nothing came of Lewandowski's changeup when he came on the pitch at all. And I'm just like, I feel so like sometimes we are so we're so bummed out that Madrid is within 1 point of us. But 1 point that I do want to bring up to you, because you're a Madrid fan, is one thing I know is that at least Real Madrid, they would have sat back at 2-0. They probably would have sat back and just weather the storm some way, somehow, instead of it being 4-0 within 45 minutes. And guess what? You still have difference makers like the Mbappes of the world in his prime, like the Vinicius Jr. of the world. Like at least maybe one of those players can make something of a difference, right? But what I feel with Barcelona is like we just over trust the system, that we just think the system is going to outdo us. And at the end of the day, because we were down to Atletico Madrid 2-0 before. So I guess Hansi Flick didn't even flinch. He was like, I've been down to these guys 2-0 before. We beat them 4-2. We're just going to keep doing what we do. Instead, dude, what do we have? At least I feel like Madrid never would have lost 4-0 in the first half, and you would have had like at least something that would have come off of Mbappe or Vinicius. And I just feel like we put so much weight on Lamine Yamal, and he doesn't have the partners. I just picture sometimes Lamine Yamal playing, for example, for Bayern Munich and playing for Harry Kane, playing next to Luis Diaz, right? The Luis Diaz of the world. The Kimmich of the world. And I feel like just like, okay, we put all this weight on this kid, but does he have the great players around him?
Well, he didn't have Pedri.
Do we just have a good system that he plays on? That's my question.
Well, look, when he plays with Pedri and plays with Rafinha, it's a different ball game altogether, mate. You got to admit, like these players, they play differently together. When you have Casado in the team, and De Jong looking lost, like he's away with the fairies. De Jong, he got abducted. Like I've never seen De Jong such a poor game as of recent. Like De Jong, we were praising him, but in that game was absolutely shocking. Like Yamal needs Yamal needs his system players. He needs his Mavericks in there as well. He needs Pedri. Like you won't have. I've got to say right now, Messi, amazing as he is, we know, the style of football that Barcelona played before, Messi wouldn't have been such a great Messi without Iniesta, Xavi. Let's be honest, yeah. That's factual. Yeah, that them two, they also contributed a lot towards Messi's success because they were just such mavericks. Pedri needs to do the same for Yamal. If Pedri's not there, then Yamal is lesser, not to say lesser player, but he can't do everything by himself. Yeah. I love Yamal. I think he's a great player. I still think he's the best player in the world. However, when you need your system players in there and they're not there, especially against big teams, is bad. And I tell you what, Rafinha and Pedri, they're better to be fit throughout this Champions League run in the knockout phases. They need to be.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing about bringing Rafinha back early just to get a string of games and then him going out again. Rafinha's injury worry me as well.
That's the second one. The second one.
To see as a football fan is very worrying for Barcelona. To see that is very, very worrying. So Yamal is not going to have his system play on the outside, on the other side, doing the pressing, where Yamal presses. Well, when Rafinha presses, Yamal presses. But you're not going to see Olmo. Olmo presses who? Who's Olmo going to press? The guy's not. He's not intuitive enough to press players in that kind of area. Like Yamal, he needs to be on the right with Pedri. If not, like somebody else put in the chat, Kevin put in the chat, that play him in the 10 if you want to maybe give him a bit more space and see how effective he'd be there. That's fine. But the situation is that Yamal, he needs his system players. Otherwise, he cannot be the best player in the world. You can put Yamal in Stoke City, and he won't be the same Yamal. He needs his system players in there to work. And Yamal cannot be the player that he wants to be without them. Yes, maybe against your Albacetes and your Oviedos and all these things, fine. But not against flipping Atletico Madrid, where Ruggeri is an absolute monster. Do you see how big this guy is? He's a monster. Yeah? him. Bro, the defense were crazy when you have Koke and you have Llorente. And these guys are just physical brutes. Like, you're not going to get... He was mauled on the right-hand side, He was trying, but trying is not good enough sometimes. He was getting absolutely destroyed. He was getting his legs taken off by Atletico Madrid. And Simeone, he said, when you get a chance to put your legs on Yamal, you do it. You go in like that, because that affects a player's morale in the match. And that's what Simeone's teams, that's why, look, I've said this before, and I said this to a couple of the Barca guys before. It says, the reason that I really detest Atletico Madrid is because, look, I'll give you an example, Atletico Madrid, even the fans are like Simeone. They're very similar, You put a Real Madrid t-shirt, you go outside the Nou Camp, and you go outside Atletico Madrid. Guess which one you're most likely to get weighed in? You're most likely to get weighed in outside the Metropolitano. The Nou Camp will be fine. Trust me, I've been to the Nou Camp before, The t-shirt, it's fine. You go to the Metropolitano, bro. I was scared to do a match preview outside the Metropolitano, just in case, mate. Like, honestly, like I wore my t-shirt just outside the Metropolitano in a match preview. It was raining, thankfully enough, nobody was outside. Look, you go to the Metropolitano, and you're gonna have 10 guys approach you, mate, and try and weigh you in. I'm telling you right now, that's the issue with Atletico Madrid, and they carry that pitch because of Simeone. Simeone's the guy, mate. That attitude, it carries on the pitch, and that's my point about Atletico Madrid. I don't really like them as a team because what they stand for, but I tell you what, wherever they stand for, bro, they played some sensational football yesterday, man. I've got to admit. Like, what on earth are we watching? We were watching, like, some prime Brazil stuff right there, mate. Just counter-attacking football like crazy. Skill, like, Lookman, mate. Like, he's positioning.
He looks like he's going to make this team better, Dave. A lot better.
Oh, he is. Wait till next season with Atletico. Wait till next season.
Bro. We could have had him, bro. We could have had him. But, Dave, before you go, can Barcelona pull off the miracle?
No, I don't think it is. Like, Barcelona fans have been talking to me and saying, "Oh, remontada this, remontada that." Look, I'm not gonna go and say like remontadas is not possible, but I feel that. Remember last year, Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Yeah, when Arsenal just
the most word mentioned in the locker room was remontada. I remember the leaks.
Remember that? Remember all the remontada videos from Real Madrid and trying to post on Instagram and trying to do this?
Arsenal was just like,
yeah, it's like,
okay,
it's not happening. Yeah.
Let's see.
Arsenal did what they did best. They sat back. They allowed Real Madrid to come on, and guess who got the first goal?
Arsenal.
And that I think that's going to be the same. Look, the only chance Barcelona have, and this is the only chance, they need to get 2 goals within the very first 20, 30 minutes. They get those 2 goals.
I feel like if we get 2 goals in the first half, I think we have a chance. But we need 2 goals. 2 goals in the first half.
But it needs to be early as well to disrupt Atletico's rhythm, because they'll still play high intensity, but they'll have 70,000 Barcelona fans screaming around them, and they're going to be the 12th man. Yeah. So the situation is that Atletico Madrid, they lost already 3-1 to Barcelona. Yeah. And I could see the same thing going again. Look, Barcelona, if they pull off this, I'm going to be honest, Madrid fans have no right to say anything about Barcelona in this season. If they pull off this comeback, bro, I think Madrid fans need to just stand up and applaud the flipping achievement, because, bro, like the same way that Madrid fans stood up to Ronaldinho when he destroyed them at the Bernabeu, like that's the same respect I think that Barcelona should get if they do this accomplishment. Because if they do this against this Atletico Madrid side, boy, I would have never seen it coming. But yeah, we'll see, man. But I don't think it's happening. I've got to be honest. And look, it may be the case where it could happen, but yeah, Barcelona, if it doesn't happen, then they just focus on La Liga pretty much and Champions League. I gotta say something before I sign off, yeah. And this is a warning to Barcelona fans.
Okay.
You think Atletico Madrid that was a bad, yeah? You cannot go into the Champions League looking like that. It is worse. It's going to be worse. You're going to see the score lines of Bayern Munich once again. And remember that season where Barcelona weren't the absolute best and so forth, and they got absolutely annihilated because I saw it coming and said they're not gonna do anything against Bayern Munich. Yeah, it could happen the same. Yeah, these teams that could destroy Barcelona, it could be easily the same. Like I wouldn't expect Arsenal to do it because Arsenal are a bit more reserved in attack. Bayern Munich, they will not take any prisoners. I can see Bayern Munich and Barcelona going like this again. I could never see Barcelona beating Bayern Munich this year if they carry on playing like that. They have to be different. They have to be more pragmatic and just take it to the Camp Nou. They have to do that.
The second game, Dave, is going to be in, was it March or April? Something like that.
Yeah, it's a long way where you have Rafinha back, you have Pedri back. So
Dave, he's going to do it. He's going to do it.
He's not, bro. He's not Rafinha, yeah? Yeah. Do you know what? If you have Rafinha, Rafinha is a player that I can see just coming in and just completely changing the game.
He's gonna.
Rafinha needs to be there. Like, unbelievable. Like, the only thing is, there's one problem. Yeah, can you really score 4 without conceding a goal?
That's the question. Well, I feel like it's going to play out like this. I feel like Barcelona will come out with.
Elche said the same thing. Elche said the same thing just now. He said, I believe Barcelona can score 4, but I don't know if we can avoid conceding. Elche, he said it in the chat. He said exactly the same thing as soon as I said it.
You said Elche? Yeah, who's Elche?
Elche, there's Elche Pogginio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, what I think, Dave, I think Barcelona will come out and attack, and we're probably going to get the 2 goals that we need in that first half. But I do think that we have to come out guns blazing, and we're going to leave a lot of space in behind. And I feel like Atletico Madrid will get a goal in the first half as well. It'll probably be like a 2-1 at that point, which is what? Like, that's a 6. Well, that would be a 5-2 at that point. Barcelona will need 3 goals in the second half.
Even to take an extra time.
I believe it's going to be a crazy game at the Camp Nou. I believe Barcelona will score 4, but I think we're going to fall just short. And it's going to suck because conceding the 1 goal at home, it's probably what's going to, I think it's probably what's going to leave us out. But I don't know. Something within me says that 90 minutes at the Camp Nou are very long.
Here we go, mate. Here we go. Yeah, 90 minutes at the Camp Nou is it'd be long for them. It'd be long for Barcelona, I think, mate, because they'll be looking at those minutes and they're counting down. Look, Barcelona need to get a goal. I'm going to tell you this right now. Yeah, for Barcelona to really come back, and I said this about Real Madrid in the Arsenal game. I said for Real Madrid to really come back, they need to get a goal within the very first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
go out there and absolutely crush Atletico Madrid, and then you can do it. Yeah. First 10 minutes, you need to get that goal.
To quote the great Luis Enrique, if they can score 4, we can score 5.
Yeah, true.
That's
man.
exactly what he said.
Look, some being in me says that Barcelona could beat them 6 goals, 6-1 or something. Yeah, because Barcelona, if Barcelona on 100, they need to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Yeah. So Hansi Flick, he'll prep them for the match, but I don't know, man. Like Hansi Flick's teams have always been goal scorers. Look, we'll see. We saw what happened, mate. Last time, brother. Hansi Flick's, mate, 8-2, brother. That's crazy, mate. But we'll see, man. We'll see, brother. Let's see how he does it, mate. Let's see how he does it. See what happens.
All right. So Dave, I think that's it for this episode of Classical Vibes Only. Any last words? Anything coming up for Dave Talks Barca?
There has to be some accountability for just final words. There has to be some accountability for Hansi Flick. I think Hansi Flick obviously deflected a lot, and he can't do that. He needs to take full accountability and say we were trash, yeah, and come out just say that to the media, saying we were poor, but we'll try and make sure something happens in the second leg. I think if he said that instead of doing the ref things and all that. Like, he should have approached a lot of different things, mate, in the match as well, better. So it's up to him. But do you know what? Coming up for myself, obviously the Real Madrid match tomorrow, doing the match reaction, obviously a preview for the Sociedad game as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's gonna be a massive weekend. And obviously, I'm gonna say one more thing. Yeah, Barcelona fans cannot take that Girona game lightly. They cannot.
They're playing better. They're playing better.
They are playing better, and it's a Catalan derby. They cannot take that Girona game. If they take that Girona game lightly...
I'll tell you what, Dave. I'll tell you what. If Barcelona, after that performance, doesn't come out motivated, ready as an avalanche to take over Girona, I will have a different energy for Barcelona this season. Because this is as bad as it's gotten right now. And if we don't have energy, if we don't come out with intensity that we need, to show the fans, right, to get us excited about this team and hopefully a remontada next game, then you know what? Might as well, bro. Like, might as well just like pack it in at this point. Like, I'm gonna think way differently of this team. If we don't take over Girona in this game, but we need to come out and annihilate this team. I'm telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Girona, at home, they're not the easiest team to beat. We know that already. So. I think the last match they lost was is Mallorca home. I think I think it was Atletico Madrid. I think they lost against Atletico Madrid. So look, it's just all up to now that Girona game. If they lose that Girona game, and then they go again to Metropolitano and they face the same. I gotta be honest. I think Real Madrid have a chance now, mate. Looking at that and seeing Metropolitano against Barcelona.
But you guys have a very tough game this weekend.
Oh tomorrow. Yeah, Sociedad as well. Sociedad are a form team at the moment, so
11 straight games without a loss. I think. 11,
it is
11. So it'll be fun.
It'll be very tough, and they beat you they beat you just recently as well. So it's a very very tough game with Sociedad. Yeah,
Dave. Thank you for being here for an hour. We should do about 35 minutes. I appreciate your time. And
no worries, my pleasure.
People love this pod, and I'm just happy to keep it going. Guys, on Tuesday, it's on his channel, and on Fridays, it's on this channel, as you guys know. So thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody who was in the chat, go subscribe to Dave Talks Barca. Great content, brother. I see that your channel is doing amazing, and I just feel happy for you. And yeah, man. And anything else?
That's it, mate. That's it. Well, good luck, obviously, in the second leg. That's all I gotta say. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Guys, thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
A la Madrid, nada más.
Vas, Vizca, El Barça. A la Madrid. Come on.